blown, following Yeshua. One of the saddest things I see in men today are men that are allowing other men to build their empires off of your back. Haven't you had enough of that? Man, brother, especially you Hebrew brothers, brothers of color. Aren't you tired of it? And now it's everybody. It's white men, it's Hispanic men, it's Asian men. This world is being built off of your back. The system that is being used and has been used to destroy. You know, the worst systems of oppression that have ever been created were created off of the people that were enslaved by it. Think about the story of Pharaoh and our ancient people, the Hebrews, the Israelites, who got, you read the book of Joshua, who got tricked to go into Pithom and Ramses to build the cities because Pharaoh already had a plan to imprison and to enslave them. So they went in and built Pithom and Ramses for Pharaoh. And in that building of Pithom and Ramses for Pharaoh, for Egypt, they became slaves to the very thing that they built. And they all did it for money. They all ran in and did it for money. I want you to understand how crazy that is. Think about it. Since then, how many empires have been built? Shit, this country was built off of the back of slaves. Sometimes it's willfully, sometimes it's unwillfully. But we all know one thing, that these powers need your labor. Sometimes, though, they may make it a religious thing. And I mean religion. I'm not talking about the faith. I'm not talking about the faith of the Most High Yah. I'm not talking about the faith of our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm not talking about Yah's law. I'm not talking about Yahshua HaMashiach. I'm not talking about the book. I'm talking about religion. Religions all over this world have been used to build empires for people. Roman Catholic Church, prime example of that. And this system of oppression that is upon people, the greatest trick now is to make your oppression not look like it's oppression. Make it look like it's good for you. And in that impression, they take over your house, they take over your family, they take over your children, your wives, and you're just stuck, left, hoping that the master will continue to kick scraps off his table or throw some pig guts and the head of the pig and the feet of the pig out the back door so that you, being a good slave, can run up and grab yourself some chitlins instead of running, coming out of her, coming out of these systems that were created and that you and I funded. You and I built. You know, every time you go out there and you take your paycheck and you give it back to the system. Every time you make $1, you go and you give it back to these large corporations. You could have some of this. You could have some land. But instead, you'd rather fund somebody who's controlling how you live. They tell you where you can and can't build. They tell you what you can and can't eat. If your grocery store ain't got it, shit, you ain't eating it. We live in these states of oppression, you know, West Coast, California, or New York, or our lives are constantly controlled. I'm talking to men here. By governances that were never supposed to have that control of you as a man. So that makes me wonder how many people truly are trying to come out of her. How many people truly hate their oppression? You can say all day long you hate your oppression, but the reality of it is, yeah, there's certain parts of it you like. Go ahead and admit it. There's certain parts of that oppression that are kind of cool. Shit. And the sad fact is, in today's society, we have so many wicked-ass people. We have a lot of wicked-ass women. in today's society. Women leaving their husbands, getting up, packing up, leaving, cheating, running off, doing all sorts of crazy shit. But we forget that the few that are good, and there are few that are good. There are some single sisters that are, I think, are great single sisters would make excellent wives. But the problem is that too many men love their oppression. The same way we have a system that says that you have to go to your government and they will give you permission to get married. We have systems that you have to go to your pastor and he will give you permission. And if you don't get married by your government, then the government doesn't recognize your marriage. And if you don't get married by your pastor may not recognize your marriage. So it's the same hand. It's the same hand. And it's controlling everything. What you have to do is you got to come out of it. You have to work as hard as you can to get to a place where as oppression comes down, it doesn't affect you. Hopefully it doesn't affect you at all. But Yah willing, it doesn't affect you nearly as bad as it affects others. That's why today we've been moving soil and getting gardens in, more gardens in, working on the continued self-sufficiency of our food supply, making compost. We were emptying out compost bins. I'll show you. Emptying out compost bins of compost. Excuse the shirt. Yeah, my clothes look like that when I be working out here. Moving those barrels of soil, those 6-gallon barrels of soil, moving them. That's one of my 10 compost bins. Planting more fruit trees. Because what I'm hoping to build is not going to be, well, it's just for Chris. It's going to be a generational thing that's passed down. Generationally. Teaching your children right. Generationally. That coming out of her will be a generational thing. It's not going to be a just me. Just the sisters. It's going to be a generational thing. That my daughters will understand what a free man looks like. A free, biblical, patriarchal, obedient to the Father, strong-ass man's going to look like. Strong-ass Israelite man is going to look like. If my sons can be those men. So I spend time teaching them the lessons that they need to learn, to grow and to be strong, to obey the Father, to get them to teach them how to think so they don't think like a slave. They don't think like a servant of man. They think like a servant of the Father, a servant of Yah. So we don't understand is that time's getting short. People's bank accounts are looking smaller and smaller. Sin is abounding. People are in positions now where they can't make the moves they want to move. We're going to be talking this week about marriage. We're going to be talking about, there's a lot. See, you sisters, it's unbelievable how many spend time rejecting what the word says to find yourself in a position where you've got no moves to make now. You're stuck. And now we'll say, well, is some man willing to take me in? Is some man willing to? And just to think, had you moved, if you had moved when the Father told you to, if you had moved when you heard it, you wouldn't be in this position right now. Now you're throwing yourself at any dude with 2 legs. It doesn't even matter if he's got a penis. He can be a eunuch. You wouldn't even care. Sad shame where we are, where this world is headed, and how many people who have sat and watched it head that way for years continue to confirm and cement their servitude, their slavery, instead of working towards freedom. Because as long as they were in the house, You're a good house Negro, a good house slave. As long as you were in the house, you weren't worried. You never thought that the master would put you out in the field. And now your ass is out there in the field. But all the ones that were going to run, all the field Negroes, all the field slaves that were going to run, they already done take off. They left already. And now you're stuck with a bunch of other house Negroes who have been removed to the field. Or you have the field Negroes that would refuse to run, that refuse freedom. They would rather be a good slave than ever come out. See, being separate's a choice. Come out, be separate, touch not the unclean thing. Being separate's a choice. The reality of it is most don't want separation. They don't want to be separate. It's going to cost too much. It's too inconvenient. What about this and what about that? But now we're seeing those who have made the moves in the past 2 or 3 or 5 years are seeing the benefit of it now and are seeing, damn, I can't even imagine what it would be like if I was still there. I can't even imagine. I don't know how people. I was talking to my beloved brother Ronnie, and he was telling me about somebody he knew paying $1,200 for a damn near studio. $1,200 in a major city for a damn near studio. And the choices and the opportunities to make the moves that they want to make are fewer and fewer and fewer. Said my hair among my daughters right here, and they're picking. What y'all picking? Chickweed for the chicks? They're getting chickweed for the chickens and goats. Fresh chickweed in the ground. Oh, and the rabbits. They like feeding the animals. So my children around here feeding the animals, and I think they just finished their homeschooling, made some cool projects, I was down there watching them a little bit. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Yeah, I don't want to come out. I'd rather my children learn about shit that they shouldn't be learning about. As a child in the faith, it's cool that my children learn about he, she, they, thems, asterisks, telephone poles, bicentennial mans, and instead of just learning about the things that affect them, their lives, what they can grow with, their faith, what they live. I'm ranting now. My mind's blown of where we're headed. It's blown on how many people have elected slavery and somebody running their life. I'm talking to men. Women, your husband should be doing that. But as a man, even as a man, I don't have to run my wife's lives. They love me. They see the vision. So I just say, hey, we need to get this done, and they go do it. I don't have to sit down and answer the question, why? We have that building about tomorrow, likely. Y'all willing? Why? Why can't I? Why we gotta do it this way? I'm thankful for the sisters I got. I'm thankful that they wanted somebody free, and I'm thankful that the Father put that in me so that I could be free. As much as I can in today's society. I know you pay taxes, I get that part. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyways, bless y'all. Shalom.